being here tonight and taking some time out of your busy lives to learn a little bit about health and how to take care of yourself. That's why I do these talks. I do them for my patients because the main thing that I have to offer here, even more than treatment, is education. And if I can educate people on how to take care of themselves, then they're going to not need me or any other doctor nearly as often or nearly as much. And so that's what I want to do, is I want to add value to your lives by giving you information that will actually help you to be a healthier individual. I believe that our bodies are capable of being healthy if we treat them right, okay? I would say that in our culture, just the sort of the American way of life, the Western civilization has produced a lot of diseases that we never saw before. Mm-hmm. And so my goal is to help you understand how your body works so you can take care of it better and lead a healthier, more vibrant life. So we're going to talk about lifetime care tonight and 3 important aspects of lifetime care. So, what is most people's approach to lifetime care? Because there's a lot of mythology out there, a lot of wrong-headed ideas out there to what lifetime care is all about. It's not founded on substance, but on cliches, which a lot of healthcare is founded on, or a lot of people's thinking is. So if you look at, here's the first one. If it doesn't hurt, there must not be a problem. So is this a sound basis for healthcare? Is that, so tell me what's wrong with that statement.
Hurting is probably something before a problem gets bigger. It's probably just building and bubbling under the surface.
Exactly.
So are you saying that like pain may be the last stage of the problem? Yeah, and that's true.
Possibly.
Usually symptoms are the last stages of a disease. In other words, is it possible to have cancer and have no symptoms?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Lots of people do. Okay.
Doctors die from it.
Yeah. So if your car does not have a seized engine, you don't change the oil. Okay. You wait till the engine seizes up. Is that how we do it? No. That's a bad strategy. Okay. You know, when I was a teenager, that happened to me. It's a bad strategy. I can tell you that right now.
I was upset. Yeah.
We changed the oil in our cars because we want it to run its best for a long time.
Right.
And, you know, as human beings, we want things to work their best. Yes. And we get new cars because we want them to run better, and cars are safer, faster, more service conscious. So we want to treat our bodies at least as good or better than we treat our cars. So that doesn't mean that everybody wants to pay the price to do this.
Right.
Has anybody ever been called a health nut or an exercise nut? Yeah, I have. Yeah, I was called, you know. And so my response to that is, great, I am. Are you a disease nut? You know? Because, you know, if you're not a health nut, then what are you?
Yeah.
Okay? So, you know, people can make fun of you for exercising too much, taking vitamins, or just eating a healthy diet. You know, my wife was kind of persecuted in her workplace years ago because she ate healthy, but she noticed that the people that ate the way they ate, which is very unhealthy, were sick a lot. They took a lot of pharmaceuticals. So, and that's true with our chiropractic care. They may say, well, haven't they fixed you yet? You know, you still going back there? Well, we're going to talk about that in just a minute. So we don't exercise today so we don't have so do we exercise today so we don't have a heart attack tomorrow? No. We exercise because it enhances our life. Okay? So does anybody in here exercise regularly? Okay. So does everybody notice that when you exercise you feel better?
Mm-hmm.
Anybody ever notice that when you exercise, your appetite drops, you're not as hungry? or maybe, and you even want better food, okay? So it enhances our life, okay? We don't read to fix our brain today so we don't have a headache. We read because we know that reading and learning keeps our brain sharp, okay? It's a process. That brings us to lifetime care. Now, lifetime care is a discussion a lot of people won't engage in, and the people that do engage in lifetime care without having symptoms are really it's a more evolved way of thinking. Like, if you take care of yourself, regardless of how you feel, you're in a minority of people in this culture. So we don't wait till the IRS seizes our property before we respond to their notices, or we don't, you shouldn't wait till you have an open heart surgery before you do something about your heart. So let's look at number 2. So point number 1 is that symptoms don't necessarily determine health. Number 2 is lifetime care is not an outcome, but it's a never-ending process that we do. All right? So when are we going to be done exercising?
Never.
Okay. Now, some people were done exercising when they were born. Okay. But, we're never going to be done. When are we going to be done eating the right kind of food?
Never.
When are we going to be done brushing our teeth? Yeah, at 50 years old, I'm done with brushing my teeth. That's all I'm doing. When are we going to be done praying? When are we going to be done loving our families? So anything that applies to the virtue of existence is a process, and there's a lot of processes in life, and these are some of them. So some people, when they start going to a chiropractor, they hear you have to go for the rest of your life. Well, you don't have to. You don't have to go for the rest of your life. But some people that go to a chiropractor find out that they actually feel better and they're healthier by doing that process, by getting adjusted. They're healthier, and they tend to resist disease easier, okay? And they tend to have more vitality rather than just a reduction in pain, okay? So let's look at Sally's story. Now, this is a woman who came to me she's in a car accident, young lady, and I saw her for about 3-4 months, and at the end of her care, she says, this may be a coincidence, but, I was having some pretty nasty cycles, before I started coming to you regularly, and they're pretty good now. Is there any relationship to that? And I said, yeah, there is, Getting your nervous system fixed up probably straightened out your cycles, okay? But not everybody can make sense of that. Not everybody can make sense of how do you get adjusted and how does your body function better, okay? So so people tend to make fun of things they don't understand. And the fact is that that's gone on forever, So this is important point number 3. Caring for your body and your health is not something you do at certain moments rather than not at other moments. In other words, every moment we're rendering care to our body. So how does that work exactly? So let's look at Hans Selye. He was the one who discovered the Triad of Stress in the 40s. He was a very famous scientist. And he found that stressful thoughts and emotional upsets actually make cancer grow faster. And he was really ridiculed by this. Here's another interesting story I want to talk about thoughts and emotions. Remember in 1980 when a boat hit the sky bridge across Tampa Bay and the bridge collapsed and cars went over down like 16 stories? Remember when that happened? Okay, the driver of the tugboat that was steering the ship through there, when that happened, he was so upset. He was so grieved over that he ended up getting multiple sclerosis. Now, he didn't have any of that before that happened. But when that accident happened, and they actually didn't even pin it on him, but he blamed himself, and he was so upset, he ended up getting multiple sclerosis over that. See, our thoughts really affect our health. And Hans Selye found that out. Adopting the right attitude can convert a negative stress into a positive one. So, Reiki Hamer, a German physician in the early 1980s, produced scientific proof that every cancer has a negative emotional origin, and specific diseases have very specific emotional traumas associated with them. For example, lung disease, grief or sorrow. Stomach or small intestine, chronic is indigestible anger. Liver can be starvation or love, or it can also be anger. But he found that there's a correlation between every cancer that he saw in his practice and an emotional trauma that the patient had that was unhealed. And he also found that there is a spot in the brain that he could find on an MRI that always was associated with the cancer. Very interesting. So we render care to ourselves by, number one, the beverages that we choose to drink. Okay? So I choose never to drink. I don't drink fruit juice. I don't drink pop, soda. Don't drink it. Don't drink beer. Okay? Don't drink any of that stuff. I don't condemn or judge the people that do, but I just don't. Okay? So the beverages we choose to drink, whether or not we choose to exercise. We render care to ourselves by the food that we choose to eat, by how much we chew our food, which I'm not very good at that a lot of the time. By whether we smoke cigarettes or not, whether we drink too extreme, whether we have limited sugar or too much sugar, whether we consume artificial sweeteners which are known to damage our nervous system. Are we rendering care to our body every living second, every breath? What about when we sleep? So how would we be rendering care or not rendering care to our body when we sleep? How would that work?
Not getting enough sleep, not going to bed on a regular basis.
So the amount of sleep we get.
Yeah,
absolutely.
The amount. Yeah.
Okay, so let's say you're getting enough sleep. Is there a way that you can render or not render care to yourself while you're sleeping?
Well, you have to leave the day you have to leave the day when you fall asleep instead of taking it into your dreams and mulling things over all night.
So not going to bed angry.
There you go.
Not going to bed resentful and having that percolate around in your head. And sometimes that's hard. Okay? I'll admit it. It is hard. It's difficult. It's challenging. Okay? So lifetime care is not a choice. The only choice that we have is a quality of care we're going to engage in, because it's not a choice. We're always rendering care to ourselves. So for the friend who says to you, are you still going to that chiropractor? The question should be, are you continuing to make greater improvements in the way that you take care of yourself? Now, just recently, I was talking to a friend of mine, and he's a trainer, personal trainer, good, really good guy. Eats a great diet, looks great. We're just talking, we're having a conversation, we're talking about politics and some things like that. The very last question he asked me before we hung up, he says, so Paul, how's your exercise routine going? Are you working out? What are you doing? It's the last thing he asked me. Why? Because this is kind of who we are, and he's just checking up on me, and that was fine, because this is the kind of stuff that I talk to other people about, like, what kind of food you eating, what kind of exercises you doing, I don't make fun of people because they take care of themselves. I want to find out if they're doing something that I don't know about, that I need to know about. I want to know. Yeah. Okay? Now, we're going to talk about lifetime care here and the coronavirus, because this is a big topic. So I want to add some things about that. So the coronavirus goes after lung tissue, and that makes people that smoke and people with weak lungs, i.e., people that don't exercise, more vulnerable. Now, that doesn't mean that if you do exercise, you'll never get the coronavirus, because there's people that have, for sure. So what are things that we can control that make us more or less susceptible to the coronavirus? Well, nutrient deficiencies. Nutrient deficiencies make our immune system weaker and make viruses stronger. So what are key nutrients? Number one is ionized calcium is a key nutrient. So a good form of calcium, like calcium lactate. Getting enough vitamin C, which we can get in our food. Vitamin C is very antiviral. It increases your white blood cell count. Viruses deplete vitamin C, as does sugar, by the way. And vitamin C upregulates natural killer cells. So vitamin C is very, very, very good for that. Now, vitamin C is not ascorbic acid. Ascorbic acid is part of vitamin C. Vitamin C contains a lot of other things. And I have a talk on whole food nutrition where I talk about this. Vitamin E builds resistance to viruses. Now, unfortunately, one of the best places to get vitamin E, a good source of vitamin E, are whole grains. But people tend to be intolerant to wheat and whole grains. And that's the problem is vitamin E, you can get whole grains. Selenium, very, very powerful antioxidant. Zinc kills viruses, but it has to get into the cell to do it. And quercetin and ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine allows zinc to get into the cell. Vitamin A, very important. And vitamin D. You've all heard that you need enough vitamin D. Well, I have some patients that are taking too much of it, and I test their vitamin D and it's too high and they need to stop taking it. Vitamin D modulates the immune system, and viruses downregulate vitamin D receptors. So vitamin D is made in sunlight, but not everybody manufactures it as well as others in the sunlight. Some people, even when they're out in the sun, need to supplement with vitamin D. Gut bacteria, really, really important. So drinking, like I drink homemade kombucha tea. I think that's one of the things that kept me from getting coronavirus. And when we sterilize our gut with antibiotics, steroids, chemotherapy drugs, and other drugs, that tends to lower our immune system, because 80% of our immune system is in our gut. So many other drugs break down the immune system. Stress significantly increases our susceptibility to viruses and weakens the immune system. In my opinion, from what I've seen, the fastest way to stimulate and upregulate the immune system is getting a chiropractic adjustment. Fastest way I know. Okay. Now there's other things that will stimulate it: exercise, eating right, laser. But chiropractic is the fastest that I know. So what about rendering care to children? So kids tend to respond really well to chiropractic, and kids tend to emulate what we do. So I have lots of kids as patients, and a lot of them have come to me since they were very young, and this is where they go when they're sick. They come to me. Okay. My request to you, as your doctor of chiropractic, I take care of your spine and nervous system, which controls all your body functions, is to, number one, do your spinal exercises that I tell you to do, like your neck exercises are really important. Pay attention to workplace ergonomics, really, really important, so you don't, cause your spine to scoliose because of how you're sitting. Now, here's the thing, something I want you to understand about ligaments hold bones together. Your ligaments tend to fibrose every 5 to 7 days if they're not used. So when you get adjusted, that keeps your ligaments fertile. Okay, that really helps keep your ligaments healthy, which is why I get adjusted once a week, because about every 5 to 7 days your ligaments can fibrose. Doing stretches really helps ligaments and tendons. Some people, and you probably, I know none of you are like this, but some people are. They have the habit of going from health tragedy to health tragedy. Now that's a form of lifetime care.
Yeah.
One tragedy, one health problem to the next. I don't recommend that, okay? We think a lot different. We think very differently in our office than this. So you'd be frustrated in our office if this is how you do it.
Mm-hmm.
And people that go to chiropractors even think about this. They go, I'll come back when I got a problem. Okay, well, okay, you might need 4 or 5 adjustments, 6 adjustments, so why not come once a month or once every 2 weeks and avoid it, So we encourage lifetime care based on deliberate, wise choices. So our society gives us a lot of confusing messages on health. How many confusing messages do we get on COVID?
Yeah.
On mask wearing?
Yeah.
On what kind of drugs you should take if you get it. There's so much confusion out there. That's why I want you to come to these talks so I can give you information that is going to help you make better decisions. Now, ultimately, the decision you make is your decision, but I want to help you to understand how to make better decisions. I'm not necessarily here to treat you how you feel, but I'm more here to make sure your brain and spinal cord are working as well as possible so you can be your best. That doesn't mean you'll never be in pain again. I cannot guarantee that. What that means is that you're going to age slower and you're going to repair better. So let me just talk about aging just real quick. There's no extra charge for this piece of information, okay? So who can give me a one really good anti-aging strategy? There's one strategy for anti-aging which is considered the best strategy there is. Who knows what it is? Anybody?
Don't drink alcohol.
Okay, that's not a bad strategy. It's not the one I'm thinking of. It's not the right one, but it's a good one. So don't overindulge in alcohol. Yeah, it's a good.
Keep your stress down.
Keep your stress down. It's a good strategy.
That's not it, huh?
That's not it. Okay. The best strategy there is to slow down the aging process. Anybody else want to take a stab? Jason?
Chiropractic?
All right. Well, that's good since you're in a chiropractic office. That's a good one.
Yeah.
But that's not the answer.
Okay.
But it's a good answer. All those answers are good. So here's the answer: is you want to preserve muscle mass.
Interesting.
If you want to age quickly, lose muscle and let your muscle get converted to fat. If you want to slow down the aging process as best as you can, conserve muscle mass. How do you do that?
Exercise.
Exercise, right. Exercise. That's a major anti-aging strategy. It's conserving muscle mass. So, here's another one. If you spent 30 years getting the problem you came into me with, it might take a few years to fix it, okay? So my prayer for you is you continue to have a lifetime commitment to be informed so you can make sensible decisions. So what do you do if you have a medical crisis? And sometimes that happens. Well, and you get put on medication. So you go to your doctor and you say, look, I know this medication is both good for me and bad for me. Mm-hmm. Okay? So I want you to help me to get off of this as soon as I can, because I don't want to be stuck on this medication. That's how you handle a medical crisis, okay? I'm not saying that nobody should ever take drugs, but you want to get off them as soon as you can. So I've got a quick story I want to tell. I know a woman who was pretty sick when she was young. She had kids. She was still pretty sick when she had kids. She had a bad accident when she was very small. She got kicked by a horse in the head. And when you're 2 years old, that's pretty major. Mm-hmm. And so she had a lot of health issues after that. And so finally, somebody said she was at one point literally dying. And she was young at the time. She was in her early 40s when that happened. And somebody told her she should see a chiropractor. And so she decided to do that. And she started getting adjusted and started taking some good nutrition. And her health completely changed and turned around. In fact, it saved her life. Saved her life. And now, this particular woman is 91 years old. And all of her friends who wouldn't see a chiropractor and wouldn't take good nutrition and were much younger than her, they're all dead. Okay? And I know that woman well because it's my mother. Okay? Chiropractic saved my mother's life. Probably gave her an extra 60 years at least on her life because she was dying. You know, right about the time I was going to college, and somebody told her about chiropractic, and she started going. And she told me recently, she says, my secret strategy is I get adjusted twice a week. I take my nutrition. I get colon therapy once a month. That's her strategy. And she's outlived all of her friends. Wow. Okay? So here's what I'm asking you, and I'm asking the audience. Who do you know that's dying, that needs care, that's not well, that if there isn't some, they've seen the doctors. My mother saw them all. She took the drugs. Drugs made her worse. And, but she when she started getting adjusted and taking nutrition, that's when things turned around. Most of you know people like that, have them call the office, have them talk to Carmen, and let's at least get them checked. Let's at least get a subluxation check. Let's find out if we can help them. Because if we can help them, great. If we can't help them, then we'll send them somewhere else where they can get help. But give Carmen a call. I just talked to a woman today whose granddaughter and daughter have migraine headaches. I mean, we can help that. We can help migraine headaches. We help it all the time. So people shouldn't have to suffer. They shouldn't have to take pharmaceuticals for it. We can help those things. So let Carmen know. She can schedule them, and we can get them on a path to health, just like my mother got on that path to health. So that's all I have tonight. I think we're done a little early, a couple minutes early. God bless you. Next time we're going to do what is the science that supports chiropractic? What's the science behind what we do? There's lots of science. Now here's a little something I'm going to tell you, a little contest, sort of a contest that we're having, is that over the next several months, for anybody that comes to our talks twice, that comes live, that comes to the office, we're going to give them a free laser treatment, okay? So you come 4 times, you get 2 free laser treatments, okay? We're going to do that till the end of June, okay? Nice. So if you come and you're a patient, then we're going to do that for you. Come live to my talks twice. We'll give you free laser treatment, okay? So, anybody have any questions? Good. All right. Next week, or in 2 weeks, what is the science supporting chiropractic? And then we have some good ones after that. And we're going to have one coming up in, I think is it May? Why can't I sleep? Mm-hmm. A lot of people have sleeping issues. We're going to talk about it. So good. We'll see you then.